This is how I would rank a personal injury attorney in 2026. So the first thing you have to consider is what are people actually searching for when they're looking for your service? What are they typing into Google to find your services? Now, what's common is that us as the practitioners or as the technicians, however you want to describe it or look at it, the people that know the actual terms or the actual words used to describe the services that you offer aren't always what people search in Google. What you have to consider is that everybody has a different interpretation of what your service is called. So before you start the process of doing your on page optimization, what you want to consider is a majority of the time, what are people putting in that search bar when they're looking for your specific service? What you'll find a lot of the times is what you think the service is being searched for is not actually what they are searching for you when they're looking for your service. A good way to get like an idea, a better idea of what they're actually typing into Google to find your website or to find your Google business profile is if you already have a Google business profile, go to your performance, click your performance, scroll down a little bit, and on the right side, what you'll see are impressions for your what you'll see is impressions for when your Google business profile shows up in search and for what search term or what keyword people are placing. The next thing you can do is if you have your Google Search Console set up, you can go in there and then you can see, okay, what is my website getting impressions for currently? Now, there's one caveat with this is that just because you're getting a high amount of impressions does not mean that is the keyword you want to target, right? What you want to consider is you may have some blog content, some how to guides, what have you, that are getting a lot of impression data. So we want to be aware of the actual term being searched and our website appearing for, right? We don't want to just blindly follow the impression data. You may end up going to optimize for a search term or a keyword that is not actually going to transfer to traffic that you want. You're not going to be able to convert them because they're not looking for your services, they're looking for something else. There are two other really good tools to consider. When you go to your Google Ad Center, you're going to go to keywords and then you're going to go to keyword planning tool. You're going to type in the service or the keyword you're considering targeting. Google is going to recommend you other terms. Once you type that in and hit get results, below what you'll see are very similar keywords or terms for that keyword or term that you put into the top. Then also on the other columns, what you'll see is the average search volume those terms will get. And from there, you can also see the top range and the bottom range that people are paying per click for those terms. So we can now use that information to give us more confidence in the keyword we're trying to target. What we're doing is every single time we're looking at these different tools, we're looking at the amount of search traffic they're getting, we're building a picture. A way to consider this is that every single time we get more information, we're getting a better idea, we're building more confidence of what we need to be targeting for our pages. Then we can go to Google Trends, and on Google Trends, what we can do is very similar to the keyword ad planner. We're going to place the keyword that we're considering. We're going to look at the chart or we're going to look at the graph at the bottom and we can see that what Google Trends does is that it will show you relative to its previous search volume, what its current search volume is, and what it is historically relative to itself. So it goes from 0 to 100, but it's going to show you comparatively to its historic search volume, right? So you have to think about, let's say you take the entire year. its entire search volume. Then you break it down historically. So you go month by month. Let's say month one gets 2000. The first month gets 2000. The second month gets 3,000. The fourth month get 6,000. And then it drops back down to 2,000 for the rest of the year. So in Google Trends, what you'll see is the then at that third month, you'll see it hit 100. And then for the rest of the months, it'll go back to that 20 to 30 on the graph. So it's just showing you relative to its own search volume where it has peaks or highs or lows. So a common thing with Christmas light installation companies is that you'll see these peaks around Christmas time. So it'll help you understand the seasonality of that search term. Again, it is not telling you the search volume that keyword gets. When you scroll a bit further down below the fold, what you'll see are these suggested queries on the left side, and then you also see frequently asked questions on the right side. And what we can do is we can use those, the left side, the similar queries, to help us get a better understanding of keywords or terms we want to be targeting. On the right side, what we can do is we can use that to help us get an understanding of, okay, what blog content or what frequently asked questions do we want to have on the site? What supplemental content do we want to consider building? Another source to get an idea of the keywords we want to be targeting is listen to the phone calls you get. When somebody calls in for your service, hey, do you provide X? To the words that they're using. How are they speaking about your service? Not everybody is going to think the same way about what the service is called. But what we can do is, as we get more and more paint strokes or paintbrush strokes, right? We're getting more confidence in the keyword we need to be considering targeting. Another thing is that if they go, oh, I searched X in Google, I called five of them, only blah, blah, blah picked up, then that's another term. That's another consideration. Another way is what we can do. We can go to like a couple hundred Google business profiles and we can look at the review content. The review content is what the person is leaving, what they write in the review. From that review content, we can get another layer or another paintbrush of how people are thinking or considering what the service is called. Not only that, but because we've crawled that, what I like to do is I will go through all of the negative reviews, all the 1 star, 2 star, the 3 stars. I'll go through and I'll collect the 1 star, the 2 star, the 3 star, and the 4 star reviews. And from that, I know what I need to address in my copy on the page because I'm directly telling the person on my page their common questions or their common pain points are going to be taken care of. Another source is the Google autofill. When you're searching in Google, as you type, it's naturally going to autofill or it's going to guess at the term you're trying to search for. This is because Google has a whole bunch of search data, right? A search history from other users and how they type and what they search for. So Google knows or is trying to guess at the search term you're looking for. And from this, we can get an understanding of what we want to be targeting for our keyword. The other thing is that after it autofills for you or auto types it or auto suggests, what you can do is hit enter, see the search results page. As we look through the search results page, we can look at all of the bolded terms on the page. These terms are what Google thinks is relevant to our search term. So from this data, we can get a way better understanding of, hey, like Google thinks that these terms are relevant for a reason. So these are not only the keywords you need to be considering targeting, these are also what keywords we need to be placing on our page. Something else to be aware of is when you're targeting these keywords, when you're looking at your Google AdWord planner, when you're looking at the Google Trends, be aware of there's going to be times where certain brand names are going to have a high search volume and it's not going to be as obvious because sometimes these brands have like keywords in their name. So be careful just blindly trusting this keyword data. I would first go search it in Google, see what pops up. And if you start seeing brand names pop up or you see a very specific brand pop up, like almost an exact match domain, I would not target that keyword, even though it does have a super high search volume because it's not an actual keyword people are looking for your service. What's happening is that people are just searching it because they know the brand name and they're looking for that specific brand.